Welcome to the next lesson where we will go through all of the important text formulas, and we will discover also some transformations on columns that you can find on the data tab. The first formula that we will discover is a logical one that will check whether we have a text or not. It is called isText, and you can check whether something is written as text, or if this is stored by Excel as a number, we will get false. But even if something is stored in Excel as a text, you can always try to perform mathematical operations on that. For example, if we have a text, we can try to add 0 to that without changing the value itself, and you can see that now we have transformed the text into a number. But what about an empty cell? If we copy down the formula, you will see that an empty cell is not being a text. So to check whether something is really blank or not, you can always use another formula which is called isBlank. And by using this formula, you can check whether the cell is fully blank or not. In this case, we have two cells that on the first side seem to be empty, but if you check their content, you will see that the first one contains an empty text enforced by double quotes, and the second one contains a space, and they both can be checked by the isBlank formula. Another formula can check how long is the text. It is called len, and the name comes from the word length. So we can check how many characters do we store in this cell. When working with the text, for example in the Word application, you can always change the size of the text to lowercase, uppercase, and capitalize each word. And this is something we are looking now for in Excel. And we have dedicated formulas for that. You can change our name into uppercase, you can change it into lowercase, or you can start each word with a capital letter. If you want to combine two texts, you can do it in many ways, but the first choice will be probably the concat formula that allows you to take one text and then separate it from the other text, and then insert another text as a second argument. In our scenario, this is the ending of the email address, and when we hit enter, we will get the end result. This formula is also smart enough to combine the text that you have in a range of cells. So if we would select it like this, you would get a concatenation of all of the strings. Another way to do it, which is even more popular, is to combine the text by using the ampersand symbol, which means let's start the formula, let's take one cell and let's combine the text with our ending of the email address. And when we hit enter, we did exactly the same. When people enter data, you can always expect some errors, and one of the most popular that you can find in Excel is that someone has placed too many spaces. You can place a space before a text, after the text, double spaces in the middle, and there is one formula that can clean your spaces and leave only the necessary ones, which means if we trim it, we will get just single space in the middle, but no opening and closing space. Another group of text formulas that is useful in cutting your text are the text formulas that can take something from the left, from the right, or something from the middle. And they are called exactly as I spell them. So the left formula can take your text, and in the second argument you just insert the number of characters, and when we hit enter we get just the beginning. If we use the opposite formula right, we can take 6 last characters, and if we want to extract a year which is somewhere in the middle, we can start the mid formula, select the text, and then we need to calculate that we start on the 4th character and we move on 4 characters forward. Another useful text formula is the one that can find a text within a string and replace it to something else. You don't even need to know on which position does it stand. You just insert the text, you insert the old text, in our case this is minus, and then the text that will replace it, in our scenario this is a dot. And when you close it, you will replace all of the dashes into a dot. This formula has one additional argument that allows you to select whether you would like to take all of the text to be replaced or just a specific one. So in our case, if we would like to convert just the first minus, we would prepare a similar formula, but then as an instance number, we would place just one. In different texts, you can also find the characters that are non-printing. Most popular one is the new line that we can insert with Alt and Enter within Excel. And if you would like to get rid of them, you can use the clean formula that will look for all of the non-printing characters and will remove them. The most intelligent penguin in the animation, the penguins of Madagascar, is called Kowalski, and in our scenario we also have Kowalski, and we need to perform some text operation on his name. The first one is, let's check where does his last name begin. We can use the search formula for that, where we insert the name to find in the first argument, and the second argument is the text. You can read it as his last name starts at the 5th character. If we copy this formula down, you will see that although we have in here the lowercase last name, the search formula is not case sensitive, which is in some cases very important. If you're looking for a case sensitive formula, you need a find, which is very similar to search, except for the fact that we will get in here a different result. If we look for Kowalski in his first and last name cell, you will see that the find formula works for the first example, but it doesn't and returns a value error because it is case sensitive. It is good to know that both of the formulas have also the last argument where we can define the starting point of your search. Let's move on and discover the exact formula that can compare two texts to each other. So if we want to check whether the A26 cell equals to Jan Kowalski, we would get an answer yes. What about case sensitivity? Let's check that. Once again, the cell and first and last name of our hero, and we will get false. Now it's time for the shortest formula in Excel, which is just T for text. If it finds a text in a cell, it will repeat it. But if not, if we have a number, a date, a logical value, you will see that we get an empty text. Before Excel 365, or as I recall correctly, Excel 2016, a lot of Excel users fought with the following problem. We would like to combine the text but separate them by using the semicolon. For example, let's take the A and combine it by using semicolon with the next cell, and then combine it by using semicolon with the next text, and so on. And you will see that this is very annoying in Excel, and that is why Microsoft decided to create a new formula that is called text join. In our case, we can just insert a delimiter, we can set the second condition as a true at the moment, and then we can select texts that we have in a row, and after we hit enter, we create a text combination. If you have an empty cell like in A38 and you copy the formula, you will see that we actually skip this cell and we don't see any trace after it. But if we copy this formula to the next example and we change the second argument to false, you will see that we leave an empty space in here. Some text transformations can be done by using formulas, but you can also find a very useful one-time operation on the data tab that is called text to columns. And if we have, for example, the first name space and the last name, we can separate it by using the delimited version and then indicate we would like to divide them by space. And when we hit next, we can also set some formats, but I usually skip it. And when we hit finish, we see that we modify the initial cell content and split it into first and last name. We can use exactly the same operation if we have a date without any separators. Then we can go to the text to columns option, but this time we can set the fixed width. How does it work? You have a ruler in here and you can create the cutting marks of the same number of characters, and when you then go to the finish, you will see that we reach the year, month and a day. If you don't want them to become the number, you can always go back to this operation and use this format option that I omitted and select these 3 columns as a text to make sure they appear. When you see this kind of warning in any of the cases, you have 2 options. You can either ignore it, but you can always tell Excel to store the text as a number. What you need to remember about to select all of the cells that have this warning, and then Excel will perform a bulk operation and can convert it to a number. And the last example comes from CSV file, comma separated values or semicolon separated values or tab separated values, and all of these files are usually saved as a CSV file. And when you open them and you don't see the columns, that is the place where you can use once again the text to columns operations, certainly as a delimited option, and then you just insert a specific separator like semicolon or comma, or you can even insert your own, and when you finish you have the column division. We end up this exercise with the second worksheet that is called the flash fill, to show you a bit of magic that might happen within Excel, and started in the year 2013. We learned how to split the first name and the last name using the formulas, using text to columns, but there is one additional operation that can do this for you without looking for any operation, without knowing any formulas. How does it work? You just start inserting the solution, the result, and when you will type the result, Excel will automatically guess what transformation needs to be done. And your task is just to hit enter and confirm the whole operation. Once again, the same for the last name. You write the first last name and then you just start typing the second one, and Excel is guessing how it works. If it won't guess, you can always ask Excel to do it by using the Ctrl-E shortcut or finding the flash fill operation on the data tab. So Ctrl-E, we see that also the heading has been included in this operation. So if you want to split date into year, month and day, you can perform the same operation by hitting Ctrl-E. You can also give more examples and Excel should guess what you need. Splitting text to columns would take too much time, but we can just try to extract the category column, which is A, B, and then flash fill to find the category.